Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful morning so far.
Yeah, both of us are back this Wednesday.
Yeah, we haven't been together in a while, so it's kind of fun to get back on camera. We have a beautiful fall day here in Colorado. For those of you who are not from Colorado, we have a really interesting weather. We have some interesting weather that happens in the fall. So it gets really cold in the morning, and then by midday
it's hot. So you go to work with your heater on, you come home with your AC on and windows open.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of picked something light for lunch. Covers fall flavors, but yet at the same time, it's not that big comforting food that's gonna weigh you down and make you feel like you need to go take a nap.
That's right, guys. So this morning, this is going to be the perfect lunch for today. This morning it was 26 degrees when I got here, and it's going to be 75 today is the high. So again, that just shows you Colorado's kind of weird. Doesn't always make up its mind on what it wants to be. So this is again what he said, beautiful fall flavors. We got some fun colors in here, a lot of different texture variations. However, it's going to be a light-ish lunch for a nice hot day.
All right. So what we're going to make for you today is going to be a little bit of a spinach salad, and we have a nice piece of salmon to go with it to add some protein. So it's going to be dairy-free. However, we are going to talk about an ingredient. You can substitute out some dairy, but we chose avocado instead of a goat cheese today for the healthy fats, texture, and flavor as well. So today we have about, I'd say, 3 cups of spinach. You can pick the stems off if you like, tear it, chop it. I just like to keep it baby spinach whole.
Yeah.
We also have some toasted pepitas or pumpkin seeds, toasted sliced almonds, dried cranberries, and this is some butternut squash that has been tossed in maple syrup and roasted. And then we have some chickpeas as well. So, first things first, we're gonna take the salad, and I always add my dressing to the bowl, not the greens. We don't wanna overdress, we don't wanna wilt, and the perfect way to do that is to add it to the bowl and then mix. So I always go around the greens and then incorporate the greens onto the bowl that already has the dressing.
Yeah, and then as far as your mise en place, getting all of your ingredients, everything that you're going to need prior to dressing your greens, there are certain greens that can handle it. Kale, you can rub a little bit of olive oil into the kale to soften it before you eat it. However, when you're working with tender greens like spinach, bib lettuce, arugula, things like that, you don't want to put your acid or your salt into the salad too early, because again, we've talked about this a couple of times over the course of the summer. Those acidic environments for greens, it's going to start to break the cell structure down, and it's going to make them wilted. It's going to pull some of the waters out, and then the texture of your greens it's just going to ruin the greens. So as close to service time as possible for this.
Close to service time as possible. Absolutely.
That's right.
So, also when I always build my salads, some people like to put all their ingredients in, toss it with the greens, and then try to put it in a bowl. I find that when you do this, all your goodies end up at the bottom of the mixing bowl and not on your salad. So I always try to dress my greens, then add my toppings. And I usually try to do it from heaviest ingredients to lightest ingredients. Just because heavier ingredients sink to the bottom, and it kind of naturally mixes your salad for you.
It does.
So that being said, we'll start with our about 3/4 cup of chickpeas. These are canned. We've rinsed them. You can get dry, soak, and boil them yourself. Just for ease of this salad, we went with canned.
So again, if you don't want to put the salmon on there, you do have a little bit of protein here, right? So that would kind of provide all that stuff for you. So, yeah.
Next, we're going to have Whitney show you guys the proper way to cut an avocado. We know a lot of people out there end up in the hospital or just butcher their avocados. So now we're going to have a little avocado demo.
Yeah, so there are a few different ways to do this. Again, it depends on the ripeness of your avocado. This one's lovely. So what I like to do, get my knife, make sure that I have a nice little pinch of grip up here. Grab this part of the knife, it's called the tang. So you get your fingers wrapped around that. You go from the avocado and you go through, and we've got to make sure we're being very careful here. The sharper your knife, the less likely you are to cut yourself.
It's very true.
So we go all the way around. Again, this is my preferred method. So I've got a nice cut all the way around. I'm going to give it a twist. Okay, now I've got 2 perfect halves. In order to get the pit out, fun little trick, now you have to be very, very careful doing this. Some people use a spoon and can scoop it out. However, you can mangle the actual avocado itself. I find right in the middle, give it a nice little whack, a little twist, and the pit comes right out. And have it dump that for me. Now you've got 2 options here. Okay, if you have really solid knife skills, again, nice sharp knife, and you have a nice steady hand, you can cut through into the pit, or into the skin itself, and it's going to give you a nice little vessel. I have had friends in the past, non-chefs, go completely through and ended up getting stitches. So be very, very careful if this is the method you choose. If you choose to do something different, you can either cut and peel, or you can use a spoon and scoop the actual avocado out of the skin. Place that onto your cutting board, nice and pretty, and you can slice from here.
So the reason Whitney says that you're less likely to cut yourself with a sharp knife, I know that sounds backwards, but it's basically because with a sharp knife, you put less effort into it. The knife does the work, you're not forcing things. And when you force things, that's when stuff slips, or it'll release and poke through and jab you, and it's very true of all things. The sharper the knife, the less likely to cut yourself.
The less pressure you have to put down on something to actually cut through the product itself. Yeah, so you now have 2 different ways to cut an avocado.
And if you have this method that's already sliced, you have to scoop out.
Scoop it out, right in there.
You can also come across dice and squeeze out if you're making or guacamole or something like that. You don't have to always slice nice and pretty. We're going to use this one, and we're going to fan it.
Turned out pretty well.
Okay.
A little slippery on that ledge there in the spinach. Nice.
Then we're going to add a little bit of some umami with some sweetness here with the squash. And you can see the caramelization from the roasting. If you prefer to not roast it, you can always use a nonstick skillet, saute it a little bit, hit it with some maple syrup, and then let it kind of reduce and it'll glaze naturally on its own.
I like roasted personally because then you get all those carbohydrates, they start to break down, you get some caramelization, it adds the sweetness. It gives it this, I don't know the word I'm looking for today, but it gives it a depth that normally isn't there, especially when you start to caramelize the natural sugars that are found in a lot of the fruits and vegetables. So.
Next, a little tartness with the cranberries. These are slightly sweetened, but you can get the unsweetened. Start out there. And then to top it off, we have our salmon. This is some seared salmon. Some tricks about salmon is I just kind of have a personal rule of thumb. If it's an ocean fish, unless I'm crusting it with some like spices and flavor, I usually just put salt on it. Freshwater fish, I will put pepper and stuff, but my theory is pepper does not grow in the ocean, so it does not need to be on ocean fish.
That is very fair.
It keeps the flavor simple. The salt brings out the natural flavors, and so.
Yeah. So there are a couple of options here. So you can either slice it, which I don't recommend with fish. Fish gets, depending on the fish itself, especially if it's, if you cut it after it's cooked, a lot of times it'll flake. So I don't recommend cutting it. If you can lay this out, put a beautiful garnish on top, or you can take the cooked fish itself, flake it, and then kind of sprinkle it around the outside of your salad. So however you choose, we support you in your decisions.
Today we'll just throw it on top here.
Beautiful.
And then we have our lovely autumn summer salad. And we will make sure we put these recipes on the site. So, thank you very much for joining us for Wellness Wednesday. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Have a great day, guys.